What up, everybody? It's your girl July from Kickback Couture. First thing we're going to do is grab a couple of drum loops, and we're going to keep the groove, but we're going to swap out the original hits for newer, more modern drums. Here is the loop we're going to chop up and recreate. And I'll time stretch this by holding down Option Alt on a Mac. So now that our sample fits our tempo, and we could double check that by making sure it loops correctly. So we have a clean loop and it sounds seamless when the loop repeats. Now that we have that set up, time stretched, we can double click on this loop, go to slice edit mode. We're going to right click in this new edit window, hover over bounce, and then we're going to bounce clip to Rex loop. Now in the browser, we have our loop and our self-contained samples. Keep in mind, if you drag this loop into the sequencer, you will get another audio file. But if you drag this loop into the rack, you will get a Rex loop player. You can also double click on it to get a Rex loop player. All right, so this is our sample loaded up into this Dr. OctoRex. I'm going to right click on the Rex, copy loop to track. Now this part can be a bit tedious, but what you're going to do is match the drum hits. So now I have each drum and their individual slices. That's the kick, hi-hat, kick, snare. What I want to do with these notes is consolidate them. So I want to put like sounds on one line. So every kick will be on one, every snare will be on two. Let's run through that. Kick. That's a kick. That's a snare. We'll leave that on 4. That's a hi-hat. So now I have everything consolidated. The kicks are on slice 1. The hi-hats are on slice 2. 3 is empty. 4 is for the snares. And it sounds like this. So now what I do is take this same pattern and put it onto a different device. So here I have a Kong drum designer loaded up. It's got a full kit in it already. You can load up your own samples, but let's go ahead and put this in place. We're going to take this same MIDI clip that we had from the Rex loop and put it over to the Kong. Here's our bass. Our hat was on 2, but we're going to move it up. And this is our snare, so I'm going to move those notes down. And this is our new loop with the different drum kit. If you have your own drum samples, you'll probably want to swap them out and use your own. So once you replace it with your own drums that you like, you can end up with something like this. Or something like this. Or something like this. This is an easy way to refresh any break while maintaining the same rhythm. Just add your own sauce to it. It's a really nice way to study something other people do and make it your own at the same time. Now let's take it a step further by chopping up a break and rearranging it to create a brand new pattern. Now, as you know, there are a million ways to approach chopping a sample in Reason. Well, not literally, but there are a handful of ways to do this. I'm going to switch it up and we're going to use Mimic to play this drum break a completely different way. Mimic gives us quick and easy ways to slice up our samples without having to do too much work because of this lovely sensitivity knob. Shout out to Recycle. I remember those days when I was fumbling around trying to figure out how to chop samples in Recycle. And we can even come in and move some of these slices if we want to. Gonna pull up the velocity on this amp so I can get full expression with this. All right, another thing I would like to do within this Mimic is pull up the release on the amp envelope so I can get that full drum hit. Chopping and rearranging drum loops lets you flip things in endless creative ways. So when you find a drummer that you like, the tone of the way that they mix their drums, and you want to buy their loops, just know that you're not limited to the way that they played it. Finally, one of my favorite techniques is to sample the groove itself and apply it to different sounds. So I'm just going to create an original drum loop with some of my free samples from the 90s Love Drum Kit. So this is my original drum loop that I just programmed and played. Cool, so I got this loop that I want to take the groove from here. I'm going to time stretch it so that it fits the tempo of my track. I'm going to double click on it, slice edit. Then I'm going to check and make sure there's no slice points where there aren't actually drum hits. I can play them by clicking on the speaker here to preview. So we do have some hits here that need to be removed, so I'll just go through and remove them one by one. All right, my loop's all cleaned up, so now I'm going to right click, bounce clip to Rex loop, double click that to create a Rex. Now I'm going to double click on the Rex to get to the rack. Going to turn off enable loop playback so we don't get any doubling when we play back our audio, our beat. Going to right click, copy loop to track. And now I can right click this clip and get the groove from it. Now one day there will be less steps. All right, I'm going to click on this little drop down with the dash and the arrow. I'm going to select user 1 because that is where my groove went. You can manage everything in the regroove mixer here. So this is what we just sampled from this loop, user 1. This is what our drum pattern sounds like without. Now let's put it on. So we can see how it added its own flair based on the input that we gave it. Now let's talk about these controls. The slide knob is going to move our notes forward and backward in time. So let me turn that metronome on so we can hear what's going on. Slide to the left. Slide to the right. You can hear how that snare starts to hit after the click. This shuffle knob is going to add a bit more swing to our pattern and not just slide. So listen to that double kick here. Hear how that sounds with the shuffle up versus with it center. With that swing up, it's got that vibe to it. This huge fader right here is the groove amount. So if we pulled it down, it wouldn't be affecting it at all. So we can just affect a percentage if we want to. I like to keep it all the way up because otherwise, what am I putting it on for? But there are some cases where you'd only want a percentage of it applied. Those are the most important features on this regroove mixer for now. We can go deeper in another tutorial. I would like to add that there are a bunch of pre-existing groove settings you can apply just by clicking through this menu here. You'll see some MPC swing options, MPC 3000, and so on. This technique keeps the essence of my drum pattern, but it gives me the freedom to add different swing and a different vibe to the drums. So in this video, I showed you how to replace drum hits from an existing break that you like the groove or the rhythm of. I showed you how to chop up breaks and rearrange them. And I showed you how to sample groove from a break that you like the rhythm of and use it on your own drums. So try some of these out in your next beat and let me know which one your favorite is. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more tips like this. Today's day 12 of our 30-day Reason Marathon. If you like these tips and you want to go deeper and exit the YouTube University rabbit hole, definitely check out one of my Reason courses. It's all culture, kickback, and cook up.